Hello, welcome to English. All right, so we're going to talk more about narrative poetry. I have this graphic here on the board to help you out with some notes on it, so feel free to check that out because we know that narrative poetry tells a story, but it's also a poem. So we need to have those story elements such as characters, setting, plot, rising action, conflict, resolution, perhaps some dialogue. We know most stories have that. We want to include the author's thoughts and feelings and use figurative language, poetic techniques. So we've talked about rhyme, rhythm, stanzas, metaphors, similes, personification, and so on. We talked about those a lot in the first semester. And you can choose different points of view. It could be first person or third. And a lot of times the purpose is to entertain and to leave them with a story to remember. Our objectives for today. Today I am learning about subjunctive mood and explore the different elements of a narrative poem so that I can express a state contrary to fact and write my own poem. I know I got it if I can write a sentence properly in subjunctive mood and begin working on my own poem. So, do you know what you should be looking for to identify subjunctive mood in a sentence? If you're not sure, no worries. I have a video for you. So I have this linked in our February in our April parking lot links because we're in April. So I have them listed there as well as in the description in our lesson today. Underneath this video link, you can click on this Schmoop link and check it out. Be able to make sure that you keep an eye on what that definition is and 3 words to help you identify the subjunctive mood. So you can pause this video, jump over to that one, and when you're done, come on back and hit play. Okay, so welcome back. How would you explain it in your own words? So subjunctive mood expresses a desire, a requirement, a suggestion, or a hypothetical. So here are some examples to help out. Subjunctive mood can express a desire or a wish. I wish I were there to help you celebrate your birthday. Or it can also express a requirement or a necessity. It is essential that the volunteers arrive on time. Suggestions are also considered subjunctive mood. I suggest that you move your car away from the dead tree. And hypothetical situations are also expressions cast in that subjunctive mood. If I won the lottery, I would build a house in the country. So if you take a look, all these examples, none of these examples depict an event that has actually happened. Instead, they're statements that express wishes and needs, about something that could possibly happen or that need to happen. It's still in that wishful state there, hoping it could happen. We're going to practice. So looking at our 2 examples here, I want you to pick out which one is the best word for each blank. If they blank feeling better, we would go. Would it be if they were feeling better or if they was feeling better? And then for the second one, I hope that he blank his homework on time. Is it I hope he finish his homework on time or I hope he finishes his homework on time? Let's take a minute, make your selection. Pause this video, and once you've made your selections, you can hit play. Alright, so if they were feeling better, we would go. And I hope that he finishes his homework on time. So hopefully you got those right. If you're stuck on these, let me know what questions you have. We're going to practice one here. So if I were blank, I would blank. You could write your own response on your side of the computer. I'll give you a moment. You can pause this video to write one out. And then once you have it, you can hit play and we'll take a look at an example. Here's one. If I were the teacher, I would let the class out early. So another form in the subjunctive mood. Do you have any questions? If you do, be sure to reach out via email. You can text or call. Let me know what you might be stuck on. But otherwise, we're going to move on to talk more about narrative poetry. So I want you to think, what do you know about narrative poetry? You can make a list on your side of the computer. You can hit pause, and when you're ready, hit play again to continue this video. I do have a quick video to help us out with narrative poetry. It's listed there in our April parking lot links as well as in our lesson underneath in the description of this class recording. So as you're watching, write down 3 things you find interesting or learn something new. You'll be sharing afterward. So hit pause on this video, go watch that one, and once you're ready, come on back and we'll discuss. Okay, so hopefully you found 3 things interesting about that video. Welcome back. Let's talk about narrative poetry, some basics here. So a narrative poem has a narrator and the story is told from the point of view of that narrator. The narrator may be the main character, a secondary character, or simply an observer. A narrative poem also contains many of the narrative elements found in other types of fiction, including setting, characterization, plot, conflict, tone, dialogue, and symbolism. Because it has a plot, a narrative poem also has rising action, climax, and resolution. So it should have all of these things to help make it a narrative. Speaking of narrative poetry, on the 20th, so in a couple days, your own narrative poem is due. You will be writing your own poem. So make sure that you are writing your own original poem. It shouldn't be anything that you've written or submitted to any other class. I want you to write something original. We're using our 8th grade writing skills. So since it's a narrative, it should have a narrative sequence. Think of that, beginning, middle, and end of your story. Should have sensory language. Think of your 5 senses, sight, touch, taste, smell, hearing. And figurative language, you can use similes, metaphors, personification, hyperboles, any of those figurative language pieces that we've talked about. Like to see you use a verb in the conditional mood. And I know it says 2 vocabulary words here, but honestly, for listening to this video, I'm not going to be worried if you don't use those vocabulary words. So I'm going to give you that freebie on that one. But if you cover the top 4, you don't have to worry about the vocabulary words. Here is a look at that rubric. I'll have this also posted on our parking lot links. So I'm looking for that narrative sequence, that rising action, conflict, climax, falling action, resolution, sensory language, figurative language. Here are some more, even some puns or symbols. Having any allusions could possibly help. Verb and conditional mood. We have some examples here. If, would, could. So using that in yours. And of course, grammatical rules apply, so make sure that you are following those grammatical rules. If you're doing something poetic, make sure you make it obvious, but otherwise, at least for spelling, should be done correctly with minimal errors. And honestly, just doing some proofreading can really help with limiting those errors. Quick check for understanding here. What is a turning point called in a narrative poem? Is it rising action, falling action, climax, or resolution? You can pause the video to make your selection, and when you're ready, hit play. It is the climax. That's that peak of the action, point of no return. Something happens that is going to take our story into its resolution one way or another. All right, how about this one? What does the protagonist experience in a narrative poem? We know a protagonist is that leading character that we tend to root for, that we're hoping, we're watching them throughout their story and they're the ones that we tend to be following a lot. So, is it conflict, pain, happiness, or opposition? Once you make your selection, hit play. It is conflict. So, all our stories have a conflict, something that our characters are dealing with. It could be some type of problem, it can be minimal, it could be a major problem, but there's something that they're working out, something they're trying to solve. There's some type of issue that becomes our conflict. If you have questions, make sure you reach out to me. Email, call, text. Let me know. That way I can help you out. But today, make sure that you're completing lesson 1.09 and work on improving any of your grades for anything that might be missing or low scored. Get those grades up as high as you can. Complete any other lessons on your plan for today. And if you have any unread feedback, make sure you're checking it out. There's some good tips in there on how to improve any of those assignments or perhaps maybe get those done. And if you haven't turned in that Ozymandias assignment from last week, make sure you're getting it in. With that, if you need help, have any questions, please email or text. Otherwise, I will see you later. Have a wonderful day. Take care, everyone.